Hello, Marianne. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So you and I were having a conversation, and you were telling me about some of the issues, hiccups, objections that some of the agents were coming up with, and we said, "Well, shoot, let's just hop on a call and we'll real play it and talk about it and record it, and then we'll throw it on Facebook for people to listen to." So, what are you hearing as we're talking to folks? Bold's coming up a week from today. I travel out, starts next Thursday. So I'll be in Illinois Tuesday, coaching in Rockford Wednesday, and then coming to Edwardsville Thursday. So we're there. We're out of time. So as you've been talking to agents, what have you been hearing that they're saying? Some of the concerns, or just some of the perhaps objections to why they're not fully registered?
Yeah, super excited about this next Thursday. Cannot wait. One of the big objections would be their energy level.
Oh wow.
Can't commit to something else. They don't have it in them to do what it takes to get through bold.
Well, and Marianne, I mean, like, let's be honest. Let's go back here a couple of years. Let's go back 2.5 years ago when COVID happened and we got shut down. We all had to pivot. And what that did for so many of our mental health and our energy. My question is, how much of us are still struggling and I chuckle and yet still have like post-traumatic stress from being locked at home, everything being shut down, juggling kids and work and all of that. So I think, let's be honest, as we talk about energy, let's go back and look at, well, what have we experienced as to made us in the position we're in today? Right. And so that's what I'm hearing a lot. I run a mega team out of California, and that's what I'm hearing from my agents is, Coach, we're gassed. And I'm like, it's Monday at 9 a.m. What do you mean you're gassed? Like, what are you talking about? And as I've walked through that, that's what they're experiencing. Here's what I would say to that. What I think we're confusing is the different types of energies. We say, oh gosh, my energy's low and I don't feel well. Well, what type of energy? And typically when I ask that question, people are like, the only kind that there is. What do you mean energy? And I go, what are you talking about? Physical energy, mental energy, spiritual energy? Because there are different aspects to energy. The MREA book, the last chapter is on your energy plan. That's the entire book, or the entire last chapter. And I'll be honest, when I first read that, I'm like, yeah, energy. Okay, here we go. And I blew past it. Why? Because I was that energetic person. And then insert when life hit me, and it was about 2018, and I thought, I'm going to go back and not skip over that chapter. And so I think what people are saying when they're saying their energy is low, I think what they're saying is my mental and spiritual energy is low. Therefore, I don't want to exert physical energy in bold. Two different energies.
Right.
What I hear as a coach, wait. We got to fill your spiritual mental energy up and maintain your physical energy during bold so that you're not gassed.
Yeah.
Different things. So what are your thoughts about hearing that on hearing different energies?
So, do you feel like bold does supply that, or should we be looking for other resources? Or
Yeah, great question. So bold does provide that, right? I always tell people, write this down. You don't give from your cup, you give from your saucer. People go, what do you mean? Well, your teacup, so to speak, has to overflow into your saucer. If your saucer is empty, you've got nothing to give. So what do? You start giving from your cup. Your cup is your core being of who you are and how you show up. Most of us, just in order to maintain the day, perhaps have a cup that's full, or maybe even not that. What bold coaches us to do is overfill our cup and then give from the saucer, so that by the end of the day, we go, wow, we had a productive day. I made 20 contacts today. I got 5 referrals, and yet I've got something left in the tank for my family at the end of the day.
nice.
Gary teaches us the point of business is to fund the perfect life, right? Not the point of business is to be gassed at the end of the week so that you're on the brink of divorce and your kids hate you.
Yeah, we don't want that.
We don't want that.
So,
What's the point at that point, right? And so
yeah.
many times I think when we talk about energy, what people are thinking is, wait, I'm already gassed as it is. I'm white knuckling it as it is. And now you want me to go do another thing? Well, I want you to do another thing that's going to increase the energy in the low spots. And then, as I said, we'll work on maintaining the physical energy, which is what you expel in bold. The
Right.
experience at the end of 7 steps should be my energy is higher now than it's ever been. I'm looking forward to applying the principles, the systems and models that I learned in Bold, and I'm shocked and scared as to where my life would have been if I didn't take Bold. That's a Bold experience.
Yeah, what I hear you saying is that Bold will help equip agents with the skills, tools, model systems so that they can live the life worth living. They
That's
can
right.
limit their business to whatever hours, whatever their structure is, and it'll teach them how to do that so they can protect their spiritual energy, their mental energy, their family energy.
That's right. That's right. Their personal family edit. That's exactly it. And I think so many people here, like I said, go do another thing. And it's like, no, no, let's build systems, models, processes into that. Gary refers to energy in the MREA book as a system. What is your system for energy? Surprise, surprise, right? He's got a system and a model for energy. And that's exactly what he's talking about. How do we maintain your energy plan so that you're exploding with energy, not white knuckling it and oh thank God we got to Friday, right? And all of us had to do this and or reinvent this through COVID. I'll
Right.
be honest, Marianne, what got me here did not get me there during and post Bold. I had a routine I did to keep my energy high. It wasn't working anymore. So
Right.
I had to change. I bought a bicycle. One of the things I did was to get out of the house is I bought a bicycle and it was a little cruiser bike. It wasn't a workout. It was just to putt around my neighborhood to change the scenery. My morning routine changed. I started working out on the weekend for the very first time my entire adult life. The weekend was sacred. Oh, don't touch my weekend. And then I realized what was happening is I was bottoming out come Sunday night and miraculously hoping, right? Hope isn't a plan, hoping for something Monday morning to turn it around. So I'm like, well, that's not working. So then I started adding a workout Saturday morning, which maintained the energy over the weekend, which projected me into a high energy state for the beginning of the week. So does that answer that question?
Yeah, it definitely helps for sure. Yep. So another objection that we would be hearing would be, or a challenge, would
Sure, yeah, yeah.
be the time commitment that it takes.
So here's the oftentimes when I hear that, not always, sometimes, single moms or moms who are juggling it all at home have a big time chunk and commitment. Yet most of the time when we hear that, it's from top producers. And ironically, here's what I tell them: tell me more about your broken system regarding time. Right? I mean, Gary runs a global real estate company and works no more than 32 hours a week.
That's amazing.
And it's like, that's amazing. How does he do that? Well, systems, models, processes, and efficiency. Is it true or not that when we start the business and we have our very first buyer, that our system now looks very different than it did at serving that first buyer?
Yes.
So a lot of times agents that are dealing with the time thing, they go, well, I have a system for that. And yet it's not serving you well anymore.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know that that's true. Well, it is true because now you're telling me Gary teaches us to work on your business 20% of the time and in your business 80% of the time. Are you working on or are you working in your business? Well, I'm just working in it because I've got all these escrows, I've got all this stuff going on, and I just can't juggle it all. That sounds like a system that was built for 2 or 6 or 12 or 24 transactions, not a system built for where they intend to be.
Hmm.
It's the reason why, like Huffaker Group, his entire team, which by the way, they're the largest real estate team in the southeast part of the country, and their entire team goes to Bold twice a year.
Wow.
They're reinventing those systems. We talked about the system of energy, the system regarding time, right? Gary, as one of the things that he famously talks about on his podcast, is when he would introduce people to the franchise, he would invite them to lunch with his son. Well, his son was in elementary school, and they would go and sit on these little stools with their knees up around their ears, eating lunch because that was his time to be able to spend with his son, and they'd spend 20 minutes talking with his son and engaging with them. And then the ride back to the office was then back into business. So Gary recognized, wait a second, I actually don't need to do anything different other than have the person hop in the car with me. And by the way, what a better way to do a culture test on God, family, and business if they're willing to sit down with a 6-year-old and eat lunch for 20 minutes.
That's
So
awesome.
So I would say the time thing, ironically, that's what Bold teaches us.
Mm.
Uh, Most of the megas that we coach have very large teams and still manage to take 2 weeks vacation. They still manage to do all of that. Personally, you've heard me say this a few times. I take the summers off. I take Mondays and Fridays off. I don't work the evening or weekends. And you go, okay, coach, that's easy for you to say. Well, our team will do 189 transactions this year. And by the way, I live in a completely different state than where my team operates. And it's nothing more, Marianne, than systems, models, and processes. It's designing that life by design, or having the systems, models, and processes to design the life by design so that when opportunities come up, we have the time. Lastly, what I would say to someone is if you had a $30 million home that was being listed in Illinois and they wanted you to fly and spend the day with them and their business partners, because oftentimes these folks have business managers and all that kind of thing, and they wanted to meet with them for the day. And by the way, this was going to be a 7 week interview where they were trying to figure out the best agent to sell this estate. Would you carve out that time or would you be too busy?
Oh, you'd carve it out.
And so I think oftentimes when we say we don't have time, what we're really saying is we don't have time with our existing systems, models, and processes based off of what I choose to prioritize.
Right. Yeah. Something else that I think is between the lines there is that it doesn't matter what phase of business you're in or how long or how long you've been or how much business you're doing. As you grow, you always have to adjust those systems models.
Constantly. That's
So
exactly. I
Bold
appreciate
will
that
help
question.
you realign as you grow.
Right. That's right. And there's nothing more important to me than my family. I took the day off yesterday and took my kids to the water park, right, on a Monday. And yet, the reason why I share that with you is because it is that life by design. Then what does the system need to be for taking appointments and lead generation and speaking to brokers around the country regarding Bold? What does that system need to be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays if you choose to take off here? And so I'd say that oftentimes people get trapped in the I just need to work harder is what they're really hearing or saying, and I'm not willing to do that. And I would say, don't work harder, work more efficiently. Yeah,
Mhm.
work smarter. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Awesome. Last one would be,
Yeah.
the money, the money question.
Sure. Yeah, and so similarly to what we just talked about is like let's be real, okay, honest for a second. There are real financial challenges that people face, right? And I'm not here to sweep those under the rug and pretend like those don't exist. When I got into real estate, I had 5 months of savings, and I was going to have to sell my home. And 60 days before having to sell my home, I went to my wife and I said, I think we're going to have to sell the house because the business just isn't coming in. And she said, okay, we'll do it. I understand. We'll sell the home. What happened was my why had shifted really big to where we ended up getting 19 pieces of business in the next 60 days, and I didn't have to sell my home. Well, how did I do that? Well, I took bold. I took bold in fall of 2016 for the very first time, and it changed my life. I would have had to have sold my home. By the way, Marianne, it's a very personal story to me. My son came to me during that period of time. He sits on my lap. He was about 3 years old at the time, and the year before we got done decorating his room. And in the midst of talking to my wife about selling our home, he sat on my lap and he said, Daddy, I love my bedroom. You talk about ripping my heart out of my chest. That here I had talked to my wife and I thought she was going to be the hard sell on selling the house. And I realized it was my son. And I looked at him and I thought, I can't do it. I can't sell my house. And it really got me into overdrive. I attended Bold at the same time. So I tell people that so they understand that money issues are real, financial issues are real, and you can't draw blood from a stone. I fully understand that. And what I would say is this: if your car broke down and it needed $800, we've talked about this example before on our leadership calls, we'd figure out a way to make it happen. Who's in our life that say, hey, would you spend $200 to invest in me? And here's what I'm willing to do in return in 11 weeks. Here's how I can pay that back. What grandparent, aunt, uncle, friend, family member do you know? They say, this is an investment. And here's what I'm willing to do as a result of that. And it's an 8 week course that I'm willing to do over the course of 8 weeks. Here's what I'm willing to do in these 7 steps to earn that money to be able to do that. Some of us are so focused on the how, we're losing the why behind it. The reality is this, Marianne, we know that agents get 11 pieces of business during bold. The
Yeah,
last bold I just did was 14
that's
pieces of
amazing.
business. On average, that means there were some agents pushing 20 pieces of business for the August launch.
Wow.
So you tell me you turned 80. I mean, let's do real math for a second. Let's say, David, I'm cynical. We're going to do half of that. Okay, so let's do 5 transactions times $6,000.
3,000.
So $3,000 times 5 pieces of business, that's $15,000. So now let's take 799 divided by 15,000. That's a 95% increase in money. I just dropped my phone. 95% increase from that investment.
Yeah,
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So here's what I hear people saying when they say money. They're focused on the how am I going to make it happen versus focused on will this change the trajectory of my business immensely so that 799 seems minuscule in relation to the money that I'm going to earn during that period of
right. Yeah, that's excellent.
yeah, and it truly becomes an investment. You're investing in that investment that I made, Marianne. I went to my wife and we were down to almost nothing. And I told her, by the way, there's this class that I'm going to spend $799 to. It was 2.5 hours one way from where I lived. So I had to drive 5 hours round trip and we made it happen.
Mhm.
And then I asked for accountability from my family as well as my coach at the time to say, this is do or die. Then great, let's lock arms. And every single week, Marianne, I got multiple referrals and multiple pieces of business to where 90 days later, after that, so here I went from not being able to pay my mortgage. 90 days later, I had so much business. I was stressed on how to find an assistant to help me hire it all. And you talk about a mindset shift. If I can't pay my mortgage to I'm taking on a payroll,
Yeah,
holy cow. And it was applying the systems, models, and processes from Bold.
yeah. So financially beneficial.
Oh my God. I mean,
Track record
11,
later, if it's an average of 10, is it 10 transactions within a certain time period?
so the good question. So 11 is the bold
I'm sorry, 11.
KWRI, what the
Yeah.
MAPS puts out is what the average for all bolds in the country for the previous
And
launch.
14 is your most
That's
recent
correct.
track
That's my most recent launch in Billings, Montana was 14,
record. Wow.
14 on average per agent.
Within what time frame?
That was the 8-week class, the 8-week course. So within the 7 steps, right? So you got the first step is skip week. So yeah, in 8 weeks. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
it's I mean, that's why I'm so passionate about bold. And so when someone says, gosh, I don't have money, that's why I'm talking to you about bold.
So that say an agent has a financial goal to reach, does the process through Bold help the agent break down what that looks like and the systems and processes they need in place?
Yes, so that great question, and it's on the money piece is something that just popped into my head. I thought of. I'm going to say, well, what about the money? What about the money? Here's what I say with bold on the experience, and it kind of ties into your question right now about the kind of the real tactical things that we need to do. You can go buy a song for 99 cents on iTunes and own the song and listen to it as many times as you want. Then how come people spend 200, 500, $800 to go to a concert?
Yeah.
The experience of being there and who you become as a part of the experience is why. And so then dovetailing that into your question regarding the tactical things, that's exactly what it is. Bold is not a rah rah class. We don't just stand there and go rah rah, you can do it. Okay, go get it. That's not bold. Bold is what are the systems, models, and processes that we need to implement in your business based off of where they are now for you to achieve that. So when you walk out, you know exactly what you need to be doing at any given time to hit that GCI goal.
Awesome.
And we do that through a number of things, part of which is the economic model, right? So we take the economic model, the 135, the 411, we dovetail all these systems, models, and processes, and we teach agents how they all tie together. Gary teaches us part of this, and it's a bold law. It's not about selling real estate, it's about following your calendar.
Yeah.
And we boil it down to here's what you have to do today to achieve that.
Awesome.
That's a good question.
Great. I really appreciate your time and answering
Oh my gosh.
questions.
Yes, I love you. I love your office. I am so excited for those who have signed up. For those that haven't, I trust that there was some value in this video. Please reach out to your leadership. If you've got a question, they are fully equipped to be able to handle that. I'm also able to answer any questions. I think we'll put probably my phone number somewhere in the post. And please call me, text me, and let's walk through what you're going through in particular to your business or your personal life that has you hesitant on doing bold. And I'll be very honest with you as to where it will or maybe not help you. This isn't about selling people on something that's not going to genuinely impact their business. So I appreciate you, Marianne.
Thank you, David.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.